Today we are covering designing Microsoft Azure infrastructure solutions. To find the complete list of questions and answers, please go to the playlist link provided in the description. If you like this content, do like, share and subscribe to this channel. Case study. This is a case study. Case studies are not timed separately. You can use as much exam time as you would like to complete each case. However, there may be additional case studies and sections on this exam. You must manage your time to ensure that you are able to complete all questions included on this exam in the time provided. To answer the questions included in a case study, you will need to reference information that is provided in the case study. Case studies might contain exhibits and other resources that provide more information about the scenario that is described in the case study. Each question is independent of the other questions in this case study. At the end of this case study, a review screen will appear. This screen allows you to review your answers and make changes before you move to the next section of the exam. After you begin a new section, you cannot return to this section. To start the case study, to display the first question in the case study, click the Next button. Use the buttons in the left pane to explore the content of the case study before you answer the questions. Clicking these buttons display information such as business requirements, existing environment, and problem statements. If the case study has an All Information tab, note that the information displayed is identical to the information displayed on the subsequent tabs. When you are ready to answer a question, click the Question button to return the question. These are the real instructions for the exam. Overview. Fabricam Inc. is an engineering company that has offices throughout Europe. The company has a main office in London and three branch offices in Amsterdam, Berlin, and Rome. Existing environment. Active Directory environment. The network contains two Active Directory forests named corp.fabricam.com and rd.fabricam.com. There are no trust relationships between the forests. Corp.fabricam.com is a production forest and contains identities used for internal user and computer authentication. rd.fabricam.com is used by the research and development R&D department only. The R&D department is restricted to using on-premises resources only. Existing environment, network infrastructure. Each office contains at least one domain controller from the corp.fabricam.com domain. The main office contains all the domain controllers for the rd.fabricam.com forest. All the offices have a high-speed connection to the internet. An existing application named Web App 1 is hosted in the data center of the London office. Web App 1 is used by customers to place and track orders. Web App 1 has a web tier that uses Microsoft Internet Information Services (IIS) and a database tier that runs Microsoft SQL Server 2016. The web tier and the database tier are deployed to virtual machines that run on Hyper-V. The IT department currently uses a separate Hyper-V environment to test updates to Web App 1. Fabricam purchases all Microsoft licenses through a Microsoft Enterprise Agreement that includes software assurance, existing environment, problem statements. The use of Web App is unpredictable. At peak times, users often report delays. At other times, many resources of Wave App 1 are underutilized. Requirements planned changes. Fabricam plans to move most of its production workloads to Azure during the next few years, including virtual machines that rely on Active Directory for authentication. As one of its first projects, the company plans to establish a hybrid identity model, facilitating an upcoming Microsoft 365 deployment. All R&D operations will remain on-premises. Fabricam plans to migrate the production and test instances of Wave App 1 to Azure. Requirements Technical requirements. Fabricam identifies the following technical requirements. First, website content must be easily updated from a single point. Second, user input must be minimized when provisioning new Wave app instances. Third, whenever possible, existing on-premises licenses must be used to reduce cost. Fourth, user must always authenticate by using their corp.fabricam.com UPN identity. Fifth, any new deployments to Azure must be redundant in case an Azure region fails. Sixth, whenever possible, solutions must be deployed to Azure by using the standard pricing tier of Azure App Service. Seventh, an email distribution group named IT Support must be notified of any issues relating to the directory synchronization services. Op- uh, Number 8. In the event that a link fails between Azure and the on-premises network, ensures that the virtual machines hosted in Azure can authenticate to Active Directory. Number 9. Directory synchronization between Azure Active Directory, Azure AD, and corp.fabricam.com must not be affected by a link failure between Azure and the on-premises network. Requirements Database requirements Fabricam identifies the following database requirements. First, database metrics for the production instance of Wave App 1 must be available for analysis so that database administrators can optimize the performance settings. Second, to avoid disrupting customer access, database downtime must be minimized when databases are migrated. Third, database backups must be retained for a minimum of 7 years to meet compliance requirements. Requirements Security requirements. Fabricam identifies the following security requirements. First, company information, including policies, templates, and data, must be inaccessible to anyone outside the company. Second, users on the on-premises network must be able to authenticate to corp.fabricam.com if an internet link fails. Third, administrators must be able to authenticate to the Azure portal by using their corp.fabricam.com credentials. Fourth, all administrative access to the Azure portal must be secured by using multi-factor authentication (MFA). Fifth, the testing of Wave App 1 updates must not be visible to anyone outside the company. Now the question is, you need to recommend a solution to meet the database retention requirements. What should you recommend? Option A. Configure a long-term retention policy for the database. Option B. Configure Azure Site Recovery. Option C. Use automatic Azure SQL database backups. Option D. Configure geo-replication of the database. Correct answer is option A.